few things I could think about to talk about, but then I'm probably gonna forget later on tonight, honestly. Which is like, you know, Nintendo still being weird with their prices, and I think they're actually going to take away live chat for tomorrow's Nintendo Direct of Mario Kart World, which is crazy to do and a very bad thing to do. Obviously, they have, you know, I guess like PlayStation's also trying to raise their prices on plus have like a whole survey talking about that stuff too. So that's easily like, you know what they're trying to do, trying to raise the prices on everything basically. And also, not really a rant, but I'm now just realizing Arlecchino is hot. And I'm kind of mad about that. Like, now I can't get Arlecchino out of my head, and I was just thinking about big booty fodder. But that's just how it is. But there is one thing I actually do want to yap about, and that is Avatar. Partly. And when it comes down to it, it's basically like a recent whole article that came out about how Toph is going to be introduced into the live action version of Avatar. And apparently they're going to try to make her slightly more feminine, whatever the heck that actually means. And when it comes down to it, if you have seen the article, I think it's by a site called The Direct or whatever, and essentially what that article tried to do is basically try to rile you up. It basically try to make you mad and all that type of stuff intentionally, so you get pretty pissed off about the whole subject of things, making sure that, you know, oh yeah, we're gonna make her more feminine. That will definitely get the people more mad and upset and all that stuff, and basically get them clicks on their little news site. That's essentially what they're trying to do. But the idea of it though definitely is very weird. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I think I know, and you know, and everybody knows that Toph is not a feminine character. She never really, well, I won't say she never really was, but she doesn't prioritize that. If anything, obviously, she's a tomboy. She's basically out here doing the same shit that you and I would do, just actually be more hard about it, you know? Does that make sense? Probably not. Basically, she is the type of person that is authentic to herself, not really caring about putting on makeup and following the rules and things like that. She's very much an authentic being, and essentially she just do what she wants to do. That is ultimately how Toph is as a whole character. Like, hell, if I'm being honest, this is exactly why, genuinely, Toph is like one of my favorite characters in Avatar ever, right? This is why I constantly put them, and when it comes down to waifus, in a clash with Jinora all the time, because I'm like, both Toph and Jinora are mad good. Honestly, you could swap both of them in a high place of just scalable good ass waifus all together in anime in cartoon history, because they're just that damn good. Like, I know we have a lot of different shows and a lot of different, you know, people coming through trying to make a lot of agenda pushing stuff and a lot of ideas that just isn't solid, like how they try to push way many more things than they really should. But honestly, of all the ideas that has ever came out, if there ever was a push towards anything to show that a disabled character can also be pretty badass and arguably the best damn character in the show, Toph was the very good exception of that role. Girl was blind as hell, didn't necessarily think, oh, she can box because, you know, she blind. Like, how does that make sense? Ultimately, for her to prove it, basically everybody wrong and essentially just being goated as hell. Sure, she can't beat up, you know, air enemies and all that type of stuff, but at the very end of the day, she's still goated as shit, and I really don't see how anybody can hate Toph. I don't. Genuinely, I don't. That being said, again, what does Netflix want to change it for? I really have honestly no clue. And this is where I started to really think about this subject a little bit more. Why is it that every single time someone has an idea for something, especially when it comes down to the realm of fiction, it has to be changed up in some shape or form, or censored, or not the true form of what the original thing was? You know, whether it's like Toph being more feminine in the live action version, whether it is, you know, plenty of other things even outside of this, honestly. Like, even when it comes down to games, censorship of that, you know, people might not necessarily get the full authentic experience of a certain game because effing Western reasons. It doesn't necessarily matter. It feels like everything has to change for whatever reason just to fulfill certain standards, because why the hell not, even though the product was already good and you don't need to change anything. Again, I fail to understand the reason as to why. Just recently today, I think a game called Steam Hearts got basically canned off Xbox because it was an eroge game and they were trying to comply, but they still kept pushing out more for more censorship and more censorship, and ultimately the game just can't come out now and they just decided against it, right? And that's with plenty of other things too, right? It just feels like when it comes to the West, if it's not going to be changed, or if it's not going to be given full control to the West or something of the sort, it feels like it just can't work. It just can't work. It just can't be a thing, and or it needs to be changed because of ye olden times, when really times hasn't really changed, only the people, and that's essentially how it is. You know, it's just so weird. It's just genuinely so weird. Someone like Toph does not necessarily need to change. Hell, and it's also kind of weird when you really think about it too, because it's just like, hasn't Hollywood been like, you know, having female characters, or really females in general, trying to be like manly as hell and try to do all the manly shit while the guys basically be female? But now you're saying to chuck that out the rule book because now Toph needs to be more feminine for whatever reason, and just all this jazz. It just ultimately, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And this is where another problem comes in too. I don't know if I can combine this with the, you know, situation, what's going on, but at the very same time, I'm gonna try. But when it comes down to it, this is why it's like, I can understand why so many people very much care for VAs overseas than, you know, VAs over here, or actors overseas and versus actors over here, or fictional content overseas versus fictional content over here, because there is so many different aspects of it that needs to be changed, that don't be taken seriously, or basically do anything and everything to make sure that the consumer of said content is not getting the full authentic experience of what they should have, right? That's just ultimately how it is. And then the people that work on these projects, especially in the West, try to claim it as their own and then think it's the superior version, when that's not the case. The cartoon version of Toph will always be the best version of Toph. That there is no if and a buts about it. It just is what it is. And that's just what people, at least in Hollywood spaces and places like that, they don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear that shit because they just think that their OP version of that character or whatever role they're doing is the best because they did that shit themselves, much less they made the changes that they think needs to be changed when no one asked for that. Oftentimes when I see stuff like this, especially when it comes down to, you know, changes, or certain people try to claim stuff like that, it makes me realize the giant difference, even culturally, between like someone like Japan or someone like, you know, China versus the West or something like that. Because oftentimes when you see actors take a role in the West, what is the main thing that they're trying to do with that role? It's not trying to take that role because, you know, they often really like it, unless you get the rare occasion where people do. But it's not really about that. It's essentially just about how much money can I make off of this role? What, you know, how much can this progress my career? And that's essentially all they're really thinking about, and not necessarily thinking about, oh shit, I could play this character or do something here, and then this could potentially make a cultural impact, right? It could dead ass make a cultural impact if this actually resonates with a lot of people, and it can be also an honor to be playing the role of that character, something that the East takes very seriously when it comes down to it. Like, yes, they are gonna make money, but at the same time they're also realizing, hey, people like this character and they like this show, so I gotta kind of have a little bit of respect for, you know, the product that I'm about to put out here, have a little bit of respect of what the people are trying to consume here. And in the West, no one really cares that damn hard when it comes down to the roles that they are acting and stuff like that, which makes it honestly 5 times annoying and 5 times dumber, because it's just like, again, there's so much of this that could be very much a huge deal, but only because people are focused on the wrong thing at that point in time. And it's just like, well, we could have got a better product, but people wanted to change something, or they wanted to not really focus that hard on their role or their, you know, position of what they can do. And that's ultimately how it is. Now, I say all that because I'm not gonna sit here and say that the Netflix version of Toph is gonna be straight up ass or anything like that. I'm not gonna say it will be. We can still give it the benefit of the doubt, but I have very little faith into it, considering that one, May's whole actual live action counterpart is bigger than her actual self, where May in the actual cartoon is dead ass just skinny, a goth, and needs her ass to be eaten. Like that's just how it is. And from the clips I have seen, like someone like Katara, who obviously in the cartoon is a lot more outgoing, confident, even if she doesn't have all the answers, and still, you know, kind of do what she's gonna do. Where in the live action, she's a bit more hesitant and not necessarily, you know, go getting anything. And it's a bit weird. Is it a giant change? No, but is it something that is noticeable that definitely can toss people off at times? Very much so, and it's no surprise at all as to why the original creators just stopped giving a damn about the series of the live action version, and then just kind of starting to do the whole Seven Havens version cartoon of the show and all that type of stuff. Like, I feel like we'll get a good product when it comes down to the cartoon, not so much of the live action version. The only thing I'll say about that new cartoon that they're trying to work on, the only thing I hope for is that they don't screw it up. Right, because I'm actually kind of watching a reaction channel go over Korra right now, and I'm immediately just like, dude, Korra is such a bad avatar. She sucks so bad. It's not the greatest time. She keep making dumbass choices and decisions for no reason, and half the problems that happen don't even need to be a thing, but it's a thing because she just doesn't learn from anything, and it's just completely awful as an avatar. Genuinely speaking, just genuinely speaking, it's just bad. Where Aang never had to deal with any of these issues, and if he did mess up, he would fix it, and it wouldn't be nearly as bad. So there is that. Plus, Aang was younger than Korra, which is crazier. Right? Literally talk about getting handed the keys to the kingdom, only really for you to fumble those keys into a damn ditch and you can't get them keys back again. Now with this new avatar, I think this character is also going to be disabled too. Like I think they're missing a leg or something like that. So when it comes down to it, they did good with Toph, so let's just hope they still have the sauce keys, because if they don't, oh boy. And especially if they like super go the modern way of disabled characters and not what they used to do with Toph, you miss the entire point of your own damn character. I just hope it's good. That's really all I can say. I'm honestly more looking forward to the damn cartoon than I am the live action, if I'm being honest, because I'm super good on that. But that's really, again, I guess all I wanted to say for this one. Just kind of to poke around the entirety of the industry, just kind of talk about the eastern side of things as well as the west, and just feel like a lot of the times when changes and stuff like this happens in the west, how unnecessary this shit is when you already have the source and the codes that you need to just be a success, only for them to just say, nah, we could change it up, we can make Toph more feminine and all that type of stuff. Unnecessary, unneeded, didn't need to have that whatsoever. That's just it's just fine the way it was. Just do it the way it was and be fine. This ain't a Final Fantasy where you need to change up the remake because you don't want to do the same thing before, where you didn't really do that before in the first damn place. So just leave shit the way it is and people will like it. That's genuinely all they have to do. But I'm gonna leave it here. So if you did enjoy this one, go ahead and hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on the socials, and like to donate to the channel. Kofi Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's me, Boy J, signing off. Have a blessed day.